This video is based on information from Zachary James from Order of Merchants. The first thing I want to talk about is language and words. Words are basically symbols, and words can mean different things to different people. And the way we figure out what a word means is we look at a word's relationship with other words or a symbol's relationship with other symbols. If we look at the English language, we see it as a language system that is comprised of symbols or words, and all these symbols' meanings are somewhat dependent upon the relationship with other symbols or words. So let's examine the word currency and how it is used in banking. Where do you find banks? The sides of a river are called riverbanks. And what are their functions? They direct the flow of the current, and a current is a flow of water. We also have electrical currents, which are the flow of an electrical charge. This charge is often carried by electrons moving in a wire. The word currency is derived from the word current, and currency is money. So we know that banks in our society are used to control the flow of money. It's interesting to see the connection of the word currency with nature and energy. There is a lot of activity in banking that is within the realms of physics. And of course, I'm not saying that the banking system is based on physics. But if we look at the laws of physics, we might gain a better understanding of how the flow of money works in banking. So a lot of times people will give you this little scenario, which is that you go into a bank and you ask for a loan, and the bank creates the money out of thin air. So you fill out an application and the bank doesn't actually lend you the money. What they do is they create a book entry, and they're creating the money out of thin air, metaphorically speaking. So thinking about physics, we know that everything is energy. And so the money system is a form of energy, and that's why we call it currency. So as a form of energy, it can neither be created out of nothing nor destroyed. So perhaps money isn't being created out of thin air. Maybe money is being harnessed because energy is something that is not created out of thin air. For example, if you put gas in your car and your car turns on, do we say we created energy out of thin air? You know it came from somewhere. And we know from Tesla Technologies that a lot of which is invisible is energy all around us, and we can bring energy into the material world if we figure out how to harness it. And in some respects, the financial system is very much in alignment with that. I want to talk a little bit more about when a bank lends you money. When they lend you money, they basically lend you something that they actually derive the value from your application, and they lend you on interest. And because of that, most people think there's an infinite expansion going on, an infinite system of inflation. You can think of banking mathematically. In algebra, when we're solving for a variable, we have to add something to one side of the equation. The equal sign shows there's one side versus another side of an equation. Sometimes we need to add something to one side of the equation, but in doing so, we have to add it to the other side of the equation. As long as we keep the left side and the right side equal, there's always going to be balance, and this is really more or less what's going on with the creation of money. It is that there's an equal and opposite reaction that is accounted for. So if the bank is giving you a loan, let's say it's Wells Fargo, chances are they're getting that money lent to them from another source, whether it be through the Federal Reserve or whether it be from another bank. So really, the bank is acting more like a broker. As the bank is adding money to your account, there's an equal opposite number that's being added somewhere else. And I think most people do not realize that exists. And because they don't realize that exists, they see this infinite idea, this idea of infinite inflation. Going back to language, a term that is used in security interests is termination. For instance, you could say a lien is terminated, which again we have termination in physics as well. So looking at physics, chemistry, and also just observation of the body and looking to see how you relate to the world, and looking to see how things are in harmony with one another, we can see the relationship of science and nature and how they relate to money. In terms of debt and also in the court system, we use the word charge. And then you also resolve that by discharge. So again, there's really no creation of energy going on because you can't actually create this energy out of nothing. You can put a charge into a battery, or you can discharge it. Say you're a painting contractor and I hire you to paint my room and you're going to charge me $100. After you're through, you bring me a bill and the bill's for $100. So I open my wallet and I give you a $100 bill. And so you're happy because I've paid you. I didn't pay you. You gave me a bill for $100 and I gave you a $100 bill. So it's a bill for a bill. And that's a really interesting term. You could decode it that the bill that you were given is an asset in one regard, but it's a low liquid asset, which means you can't take that bill and use it everywhere. You can't go to the store and buy food with it. You actually have to take that bill through certain procedures in order to derive value from it. Unless it was just me by myself giving you the bill and you pay me directly. That's a very limited use of that bill. But the $100 bill that you give me, that's very high liquid. If we think about high liquidity and low liquidity, we refer to water. Quote, money goes through your hands like water. So there we can see a relationship in money and nature. When you get a bill, there are certain processes that you take it through in order to create or harness money. It is interesting to ask what a bill is, and why is that bill in our pocket called a dollar bill? And why are the bills that we get in the mail called bills? And why, also, is Congress passing bills? This is a term that seems to have a very broad meaning, and it's been used in a bunch of different ways. But if we look at our country, it's being financed. Congress is drawing up these bills, and all of the government agencies get funded through the passing of these bills every year. So looking at this term bill, which is funny, because bill is a name as well, so we can get kind of colorful with it. Say Bill is actually a short name for William, and William can also be shortened to Will. A will is a testament. Just to get a little technical for a second, the person who receives the bill is the person who owes you money, or they would be the debtor. And if we were to go into their accounting books, they would say they have an accounts payable, which means they owe money to somebody, and that means the person who issued the bill has an accounts receivable, which means they are owed money. So you have this bill that comes in, and one person owes money, and one person is owed money. And that's really the limit of most people's thinking of how these bills work. They see energy going from one position to another. If we can start looking at things more from a scientific perspective, a lot of people may become more curious, and they may begin to ask, how does this money system really work? How does the governmental system really work? How is it serving everybody? Obviously, there is much room for improvement with our current system. You can look at this way by thinking about the human body. Maybe we can improve our bodies, and so we're going to go through changes to improve it. And in so the same way, the system is going to go through changes to improve, and there's always going to be things that we can change about it to make it fit more towards the times. But essentially, it is currently performing the functions that it needs to perform to allow people to have comfortable lives and acquire nice things like iPhones, luxurious cars, and comfortable houses with all the necessities to have a comfortable life. So to recap and conclude, money is called currency. When water flows, it is called a current. The sides of a river are called banks. Banks regulate the flow of money. Currency or money is actually energy. And so I'll end on this video with some positive advice. In life, try to let go and let it flow naturally. It is then you will find that you let the money energy come in with the flow of the current into your life. And you can take that to the bank. If you are into this type of thing, please subscribe to this channel by clicking the Mind 444 logo in the top right corner. And also remember to click the bell icon to be notified when we upload new videos. And please check the description below for the links and the footnotes of this video.